Hello and welcome to the third and final part of our series, When the Side Chick Gets Pregnant and You Are Not Carmelo Anthony. This is part 3 of 3, the wife edition. Let's get it started. I am so glad I'm doing this tonight because not only have you been sharing, not only have you been messaging me, but now I'm getting text messages saying I'm starting debates in the house. So I want to know what the debate is about. So first and foremost, make sure you like our page. Make sure you share this video. I'm probably going to do a watch party with all 3 parts later so that, those who didn't get a chance to see it can watch, them all contiguously. It's a great word. So, part 3, we have already talked about Carmelo Anthony, the NBA player who had been married to Lala Anthony, and in fact is still married to Lala Anthony, and apparently has a side baby. A baby on the side. Yes. And Twitter has been abuzz because they are saying that he is paying for the child financially, but is not taking care of it, is not participating. And of course, many of them are blaming his lovely wife, Lala, saying that if she took him back, that she has to accept his child and she has to help him to be a father. Well, I beg to differ. Partly. First and foremost, if you are in a relationship and you take the person back and they have a child, then you have to accept the child. You don't get to say, you can't see your baby, you can't have a relationship, that child can't have a father, only my kids can have a father. You're trash. You're trash if you say that. Absolutely. But here's the deal. The person who is the real trash here is Carmelo, because it's his job to be a father. Now, when people are saying things like she's keeping him from fathering, not only is that crap, as I saw someone say on Twitter, it's funny how we can blame the woman for this. She couldn't even keep his pants zipped and keep him from cheating. So how is she going to keep him from being a father? I would agree. I would absolutely agree. But if you are a wife in this situation, you have a couple things to decide. First and foremost, and I'm not saying immediately jump to divorce or immediately jump to staying. I'm not telling you to do that at all. But as a lawyer, I'm going to tell you what I think you need to do. First and foremost, if you have children with this man, demand a DNA test. If you are considering staying with this man, demand a DNA test. Why am I saying this? Because first, we don't know that that's his baby. If he's a cheater and she's a cheater, they could all be lying. We don't know who that baby is. Maury, you are not the father. Or maybe he is. I don't know. But if you have a child with him, you want to know if this child is in fact a sibling of your child. And quite frankly, the way people keep going around here hooking up with their own family members because they don't know, I think it's important that we just establish this from the beginning. Okay? That's number 1. 2, don't file for divorce immediately. Don't do it. Not only do I not think you're emotionally ready for it, I don't think you're financially ready for it. Quite frankly, he's a low down dirty dog. And if you want to divorce him, get your money, girl. Get your money right. Yes, I said it. Marriage is not only about love and commitment, it's a financial institution. And therefore, if the person that you are married to but no longer want to be married to has an outside child, that means they have outside financial obligations, and you want to make sure you secure yours first. You have worked for it, you have earned it, it is yours. Now, quite frankly, you are usually in the catbird seat at that point. Because if he did not want to be married to you, he would have divorced you. Divorce is easy. He didn't have to have the sneaky child. Not only that, because he married you at one point, at some point he chose you. At some point he chose you, which means that you have the upper hand on the other woman who was never chosen by him. Now, whether you decide to stay or go, you want to really understand where you are financially. Because child support is coming. Oh, it's coming. And if your man's not Carmelo Anthony, he doesn't have hundreds of thousands to just give to you and give to her. And everybody gets a car. Sorry, I had an Oprah moment. I love Oprah. But at any rate, you have to be worried about financially. So let me tell you a couple of things you may not know. 1, your money, your hard-earned savings, what belongs to you, that comes out of the fruit of your loins, the work you do every day, that is not includable for child support purposes for him. Which means that when he has to go to court and they pay her income and his income and they put the formula together and they determine how much child support should be, they do not take your income into account. That is very important for you to understand. But here's the other thing for you to understand. There can be an adjustment for other families, other kids, but they can take a significant portion of his income without having to consider the fact that you have children, because there is no open order with your child. So if you are planning to divorce this man, I suggest that you file for child support first. You file for child support before she gets in there, because you want to have an order established so that when she comes with her order, your child's not getting short-staffed. It's important. Now, let me just talk to you woman for woman. I'm going to go back to being a lawyer in a minute. Woman to woman. If you are deciding to stay with this man and you decided we're going to make this work, you need to understand that he has not only a financial but a moral obligation to raise his child. I don't believe that you should ever stay with a man who is willing to ignore his child. And I get it. She may be a nightmare. She may be a mess. She may be doing all kinds of foolishness. But you know, we can take her to court and we can take the baby if need be. But what you should never, ever do, if a man says to you, I'm going to ignore my child, I don't care about that baby, I send those checks, but I just want you, boo. If you fall for that, well, you know better than he is. Y'all both trifling. I've been drinking a little bit tonight. Could you tell? Well, at any rate, so just woman to woman. Once you decide you're staying in a relationship, you have to understand that he can and actually should have a relationship with his child, which means that you have to be supportive of him going maybe to custody court, or at sometimes seeing this woman, because especially when children are younger and they may even be being breastfed or things like that, that he's not necessarily going to have the child 100% away from the baby mama. I'm sorry. If you are thinking of divorce, like I said, you not only want to make sure there's a DNA test because you want to, 1, prove whether or not that is your children's sibling. 2, maybe have evidence of adultery that may help you in your divorce settlement later. I mean, whatever. And also you want to know what your money looks like. You want to make sure you understand what his retirement accounts look like, who owns the house, what his assets are, what his income is, what yours are, so you can understand whether you can even afford to leave and what you need to do. So the money part of it becomes very important. You also want to look at things like custody. So for instance, if you are going to be having a divorce because of this situation, and if he's going to be having some kind of custody with this other child, you may want to make sure that your children, that children have the same weekend with dad so that they can know their siblings. I know it's not fun. I know it's not nice. I know you like to pretend baby doesn't exist, but baby exists, and we have to be grown about this, even though other people were 100% wrong and you were not, but you don't want to turn yourself into 100% wrong. So there are a couple of things and a couple of ways that you do this, and the smart ways is to take your time. Look at the DNA test, look over the finances, make decisions about custody. Do not jump into this and run to this. And even when you go to your lawyer and prepare to file for a divorce, there are different grounds for divorce. There's a no-fault divorce, which can be had very quickly, but there's also fault divorces, like things like adultery. Did he commit adultery? Why, yes, he did. So, sorry, I was playing with the light. So you can decide whether you want to go forward with this divorce or not. And if you're thinking about it, you just really want to be ready as soon as possible, knowing as much as you can about the financial aspects of the divorce. Now, don't be petty. I say this because it's very easy to, and you're probably not going to be on social media saying all this stuff about him, which I had to warn the side chicks about, but you're not going to want to see this child. You're not going to want him to be part of this child's life. You're not going to want this child to be involved with your kids. You're not going to want your kids coming home talking about their little brother or sister. Look at mommy, look how cute my little brother is. You're going to be like, I don't care about that baby. It's still your child's sibling. And so I'm just going to say, don't be petty. It's hard. It's difficult, but you got to do what you got to do. And while you are going through this, you should be thinking about the long-term psychological effects this has on you, but also on your child. And you want to make sure that if you think therapy needs to happen, if you think there needs to be co-parenting counseling with you and your soon-to-be ex, then please think about those things, take care of those things. Do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to make you happy, to make your child or your children comfortable. Now, I'm not saying you have to be divorced, but if you're not going to be divorced, here's some things to remember. Once you take the spouse back, and you decide we're going to work through this. You do not get to come back 5 years down the road and say, well, 5 years ago, he had a baby by another woman, and I forgave him, and now I don't forgive him anymore, so I want him to be divorcing me because of adultery. Well, you can divorce him if you want, but adultery is not going to be your grounds because you condoned it. Basically, you said, I forgive you, and once I forgive you, you don't get to go back and say, well, I unforgive you. That's not how that works for legal purposes. So if you really want to use adultery as the basis for your divorce, you need to do it, well, right away. Now, this one is a whole lot less fiery than the other ones. I think because as the wife, you're not really to blame here. Like, you didn't do the bad stuff, but you can be the bad one here. And let me tell you how you can be the bad one. And I don't want you to do it. You can be the bad one by saying, I will take you back, husband, but I demand that you do nothing for that child. I demand you not see that child. I demand you not bring that child around my child. I demand that you not have a relationship with your child. If you are tempted to do that, I caution you and I urge you, just don't. Not only is it harmful, psychologically harmful for a child, not only does it show your immaturity and you're not a good human being in those moments, it also could cost you more money. You know why? Because if I'm the other woman and I'm taking care of this child all by myself and I can't get dad even to do a weekend and I have to fight him for every dime, then I'm going to fight him for every dime. I'm going to fight him and I'm going to fight you for every dime. And every time we go to court and I just want him to take care of his child and you're sitting up there like this. And that's how it is. You're sitting up there like this and you're like, he's not giving you anything. He gave her 35 cents for some candy for the baby. We want that taken off his support this month. If that is who you are, then if I'm the baby mama, I'm going after everything I can get. Oh, we need summer camp. Oh, we need tutoring. Oh, my child is a prodigy and we need lessons for whatever they're prodigy for. Oh, you got a 50-cent an hour raise. I'm going to need 25 more cents an hour in my child support. So the way you behave as a wife could impact how this financially hurts or harms or helps or whatever you in the future. Now, guys, I need you to talk back to me. In the past, you were typing more, you were telling me more stuff, you were asking questions. I need a little bit more feedback or I'm going to have to end this because I don't think I have a lot more to say about wifey. So, for one, I'd like you to make sure you like our page, make sure you subscribe to our page and share it so that other people can see this. Now, so your wifey, we talked about this. You either decide you're going to stay married or not stay married. You are going to look at the finances of it. You're going to make sure you understand them. You're going to decide about the custody. You're going to make sure that you understand that there's a DNA test and whether this child is his or is not his. But you have to remember, you are not Lala Anthony. Now, Lala was out there living her best life, posting on Instagram. I know, where is Dwayne? Lala was out there living her best life, posting on Instagram, showing Carmelo what he was missing, dipping and diving, doing the whole thing. You may not have that option, okay? Sorry. And your husband may not have hundreds of thousands of dollars to court you back. Sorry. So you should also be considering marriage counseling, what kind of therapies you need for both you, your spouse, your children. You want to look at asset protection. You want to make sure that what you have personally is not part of the marital pot so that he cannot use your money to pay for his outside baby, even if you did decide to forgive him. So you may want to look at the way you do your finances differently. Okay, Aisha, I see you saying this is emotional. It is emotional. It's emotional. It is emotional when we were talking about the men. It was emotional when we were talking about the side chicks. It's especially emotional when we talk about the wife, because this is the only person in this who had no parts of making this mistake. Like, I don't care what you feel about whether or not people know or should know their spouse is cheating. I don't care whether you have a feeling about whether, is a good wife or a bad wife or whatever your point was. The long and short of it is, this is a decision that she didn't get to make for herself and that she's a part of now. And it's just not fair. But if you are caught up in a situation like this, you really have to decide what you're going to do. And I would hesitate to even tell everyone, because first you start telling your friends, they have all these opinions. And if you're going to stay, you're going to say your friends are still going to be mad at him. So you really have to consider how much you want to tell your friends and family about this situation. But again, I urge you, if you are going to stay, that you really have to find a way to work. Unfortunately, even with that mother, because you have to find a way to accept the child. I mean, a child is a child is a child. And I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not. But that is going to show who you are more than anything else. But if you're not going to stay, then you really have to remember financially, the biggest entanglement to worry about is financially. As an attorney, I can talk to you about your emotions. I can pat you on the back. I do a lot of that. But really, I can't protect you emotionally. What I can do is teach you how to protect yourself financially as you get out of this toxic relationship. Now, that is really pretty much all I have to say about this. However, this has been one of my favorite rants. Like, this whole 3-part series has been so fun for me. It's not even on my list. I have like a bunch of topics that I'm supposed to be working on, and this just came out of the blue. And I'd love to know what topics you want to talk about, because some of my topics I have to talk about are boring. I mean, they're boring because they're boring law stuff. Your husband talking about it's cheaper to keep her, Aisha. He doesn't know y'all have been married for 5 minutes. And it may be cheaper to keep your wife. It may not always be. But it may be cheaper to keep her, but emotionally sometimes you can't handle it, because there are also women who will stay, but they will create such a toxic situation and such a toxic relationship that I'm like, why are you still together? Like, you're not happy, he's not happy, everyone's miserable. Dwayne wants to know when I'm going to talk about the reverse of this. Dwayne, I'm probably never going to talk about the reverse of this. And the reason I'm probably never going to talk about the reverse of this is because the big high-profile scandals tend to be men who have a baby on their women. And when women have a baby on their man, it usually doesn't go like this, because very few, if any, men decide to stay with a woman who has cheated, especially one who's cheated and had a baby with someone else. Now, can I talk about when women pass off a baby as yours when it's not? That is a much more interesting topic to me, because it happens more. In fact, I think that might be something we want to talk about. What happens when you find out the baby is not yours? That's a good topic right there, because I have a lot of really great stories. A lot of really, really great stories about that. And it happens. So, nope, I'm not saying that women are perfect. I'm just saying that Carmelo was the one that got caught. And right now, we are all in this situation. So, I think I'm getting some people here who in the comment section are saying, yeah, maybe we should talk about that. About when it's women who are holding out babies to be theirs that are not there. So, I'm going to put that in my QE. I've been to Disney. You know, they use QE like they do in England instead of, line. 10-part series? I don't think we need a 10-part series on anything. Guys, I'm reading the comments and I'm having so much fun with this. But thank you for joining me for all 3 parts today. Make sure that you either drop a comment or drop a message to me so that I can talk about the things that you want to talk about. And I love these late night ones because more of you can be on. You're not at work and you can kind of jump in and talk. And so let's do it again. So on behalf of Jones and Associates Law PC, I am Jackie Jones. And if you have a sticky situation involving custody, support, or divorce, you give me a call and I can handle it. So have a great night, and thanks for joining us.